Hi guys, Kevin Tharp here. What I want to do today is I want to walk you through the basic setup of the site on Aptana Studio 3. It goes through a little different process than it does in Dreamweaver, so my videos for that probably aren't going to be too helpful if you're not familiar already with Aptana. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do is when you launch Aptana Studio 3, it would have asked for a default location for your project. So you would have had to have told it somewhere before you got to this screen where it's going to save your project. So that's where we're going to be building on top of that. So the first thing you do is come in and choose File and then New. And what I want you to do is just go ahead and you could choose Project or Web Project. I'm going to choose Project, and then the option is Web Project. So I'm going to choose that, and what it's going to do is I'm going to just use a basic web template, and then I click Next. Then I need to give it a name. This is a user-friendly name, so it doesn't really matter what the project name is. It's just for your use. So I'm going to just call mine that. And I'm using that default location that I was telling you about that you have to set up when you first come into Aptana. I choose Finish. What it's going to do is it's going to save a set of folders there, and they're going to show up over here in the Project Explorer. So when I click that down arrow, you'll see that there's two files that have showed up there, index.html and connections. We're not going to be working with database connections for now, so you don't need to worry about this, and we'll go ahead and open index.html. Now what I'm going to do is, this is my first web page document. If I wanted to see what that looks like, I would choose that Run As, and that should launch a window, and I've got to pull it in from the other location, and that's going to show you what that page looks like. Now it's important to realize that you are looking at Aptana actually has a server installed as part of the software, so it's looking on your local machine. It's not looking at your remote machine. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make some changes. We'll just give this a new title, and I'm just going to, as I had you do in the exercise to set up the server, just put your name here, and that's as an H1. Okay, so if I want to go back and I want to view that page again, I can just go here, reload. Oh, I'm going to have to save it. There we go. And you'll notice that it comes up and it's got the changes. It's changed up here where the title is, and it's changed in here when I have that content. So that's looking at it at this local server. Nobody can see that but you, so that's your development server. That's your local resource. Now what we want to do is we want to publish this to the server, so that's where what we got to do is we got to come up and we got to find this publish window. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that project folder, I'm going to right click, and then there's this section called Publish. And what I want to do, because it isn't set up, it's giving me the Run the Web Development Wizard. That's going to bring me to additional information. What we're doing is we're setting up an FTP site. So you choose that and then choose Next. And then this is going to bring up the location where you will enter the information that came out of the email that I sent you. So the site name is user-friendly. It's whatever you want it to be. The server username and password are the ones that I sent you. You can just leave the remote path there. Let me go ahead and fill that stuff. Okay, so I've gone ahead and entered in the information to connect. Then I come over to this test button, press test, and you see that you get the connection successful. So we have been able to successfully connect to that server. The rest of it is just should work the way that it is. So I'm going to choose Finish. You can either choose to go through that master password setup or not. That'll be up to you. And then, so now we have it. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and publish that. So what I'm going to choose is Synchronize. What Synchronize does is it checks between the server and the local to see what differences there are. So that allows you to move files in both directions. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to synchronize that, because that'll look up there. Now I have some old files in there, so it may show those in there. So it's comparing the sites there and the sites here. And what I don't want to do is I want to synchronize up. I don't want to synchronize down. So I'm just going to move my files up, because see, you won't be facing that because you don't have an archive of those files. It was looking at mine. So what it sees is that I've got index.html and a .project file. That's the only thing that has gone up. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to make sure that this is up there. And so I'm just right clicking on the index file, and I'm telling it to upload that file to my server. So now I can come in here, and instead of looking at my local host, what I want to do is I'm just going to enter the URL for my site. And it brings me to that location. It should look the same because of all it did was move the local file up to the remote. So when you're checking your work, the way that we'll check it is that we need to see this website. If you're looking at the thing and it's got IP address like that, then you may be seeing something that is on your machine, but not something that we can see. So make sure that you check it by going to your actual site. That should get you started. Now what I want to do here is one of the things I have you do is I have you create an exercises folder. So I just right click on the project that I'm working on. I choose new folder, and I told you to name it exercises. And you'll notice that over here now, in addition to the archive which I pulled down, but there's the exercises folder, the index.html, those two files that should be in yours. So what you need to do is to finish up that part of the lab, you need to create a link to that exercises page. Now in order for us to make a link in here, we don't have the window that you may have seen in the Dreamweaver. So what we're going to do is we're going to code it. A link is and you see how the window pops up and it gives you that space in between. I'm going to have to re-put that text back in there. I also am getting used to the Aptana version. So there's a link to the exercises. If we then ran that, it's going to show it here. Now notice that that's local, but if we click on that, it's going to bring us to the folder exercises. Now it's going to tell you it's not found because we've created the folder, but we haven't created a file in it. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to create a new file. So we're going to choose new from a template. So we're going to do a new document, an HTML document, and we're going to do HTML5. And we're going to call that index.html, and we're going to make it inside the exercises folder. And you'll notice that it puts quite a bit of code in there. That's because that comes along with the HTML5. For now, we're not going to worry too much about that. What you'll see is that I'm going to close some of the coding here. So you've got the ability to open and close sections here. So say I didn't want to look at the head tag at this point. I can just minimize that by clicking the minus. And then I'll come in here, and what I'll do is in my header, I want to call it exercises. That's a H1. And then we've got the link to the home page here in the nav. So let's take a look and see what this page looks like. So it's got the home page and the contact page, and you see that it's the exercises. So now what you'll do is on this page, as you do the different exercises, you'll come in and you will start adding links to the different exercises that you're going to be doing. So for instance here, we need to add an anchor. And you can see how it gives you the tags that you need there. There's going to be a folder called Case Studies. See how I moved the words that I wanted inside that anchor tag. It would be better using Aptana. And again, I'm learning Aptana as we go here. It would have been better to create the tag and then add the information inside. So when we go ahead and run that, you'll see that there's a link to a case study. So every time you do an exercise for this class, what you need to do is you need to add a link to whatever that exercise is so that we can come to your exercises page and see what we're working from. So what you should have is you should have the index page, you should have the exercises folder, and then you should have the links that are spelled out in the first lab. And then you want to make sure that you publish the entire thing. So now we're going to go ahead and check it in our browser. So what I've got here is that's the local version. I want to go ahead and go back to the remote one. There we go, and I'm looking at my domain there, so I'm going to go ahead and reload that. You'll see I've got the exercises page. A link to the exercises brings me to this page where once I have the case studies, it'll link to them, and the home page, which will bring me back to the home page. And that should round up that lab, and I hope this has been helpful.